Welcome to Dashing Dish. Today the weather is perfect for a picnic, so I'm inviting my new friend Terry Squires of Today's Nashville with Cornerstone Network over to my house, and we're gonna have some of my favorite picnic dishes with a nutritious twist. Our picnic menu includes cheesy sausage and pepper grilled packets, honey mustard grilled chicken tenders, a ranch pasta salad with creamy homemade ranch dressing, and graham crackers, marshmallows, and chocolate. All the perfect combinations for the best dessert, s'mores bars. I'm Katie Farrell, and today we're soaking up this beautiful weather, enjoying some of my favorite picnic recipes on Dashing Dish. On today's picnic show, we're gonna make one of my favorite recipes for a picnic, and you can throw it right on the grill. I love this recipe because you can make it in foil packets, so it really doesn't get easier than that. All you need is some sausage and some kind of vegetable. We have bell peppers and onions that we're using, and then we're gonna put a pizza spin on it. So it's like a pizza-inspired sausage and pepper dish that's made right on the grill. So we're gonna start with 3 bell peppers, and you can use whatever color you like, 2 onions, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1½ cup of marinara sauce, a 1/2 cup of cheese, and 1 pound of sausage. So I already started chopping up some of my peppers and onions, and I put them into a large bowl. And how I cut a pepper is really simple. You take a sharp little knife. You don't want to use a really big knife to start. And all you do is you just kind of cut around the top of the pepper, just like this. And this is my favorite way to cut a bell pepper. Of course, there's other ways to do it. This is just the way I love to do it because it's really easy to then just pop out all the seeds right there. And then you can start to cut it. And I always like to make sure we have a flat surface, so I put the bell pepper down like that. Then I cut it into strips. And really, you could use zucchini in this recipe, summer squash, any kind of vegetable that would be good on the grill would be great in this recipe. But since it's pizza inspired, that is why I chose to use bell peppers and onions, because those are great on pizza. I think mushrooms would also be good in this. You can get creative. So then, my favorite way to cut an onion is slice it down the middle. Remove the outer layer. Again, there's other ways. I'm sure all the professional chefs out there are thinking, this is not how you cut an onion and pepper. But this is how I do it. This is easiest for me. You just cut it on a flat surface like that, and you just cut it into little strips. And then we're gonna throw that all together in a bowl. And then we're gonna add our seasonings. And you could add some oregano or some Italian seasoning as well. But I just made it really simple. We're gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I'm just gonna use my hands, and I'm gonna kind of mix it together like this. Just get all the seasoning on all of those peppers and onions. All right, and now we're gonna cut the sausage. And I have some chicken and spinach and feta sausage here. How good does that sound? So that's gonna be really good in these pizza packets because the cheese and the spinach are gonna kind of blend together with the pizza flavors. It's gonna be so good. And really, you can use any kind of sausage. I like to find organic when it comes to animal products, so anytime I'm buying meat of any kind, I really like to use organic if I can find it. Now we have foil packets, and really these are just little pieces of foil that you can cut out, or you can buy the pre-cut stuff. And I'm gonna make a packet. I'm just gonna spray it with cooking spray, just like that. And then I take the packet and I kind of form almost like a little boat for all the food to go into. And I'm gonna start layering it with some of my peppers and onions, just like that. And then I'm gonna do probably just 1 sausage or so, maybe a little bit more in each packet. Look at how easy that is. I mean, you literally just cut a few things up, put it into a foil packet with a little bit of seasoning. And then I'm going to, if your foil's kind of thin like mine is, you could double up. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add one more piece. You just want it to make sure it's a really sturdy packet so things don't fall out if it breaks. I'm gonna add some of the marinara sauce right on top like that. And this is what'll give it that pizza flavor. And then my favorite part of all is adding the cheese. So we're gonna add a little bit of cheese on top of each packet so that sauce and that cheese will get all melty and gooey right in between all of those peppers. Then we're gonna take another piece of foil. And like I said, if you feel like your foil's a little thin, go ahead and double up on it. And we're gonna just kind of top that foil packet right there like that. And there you go. There's your foil packet. And you see how this is kind of flat? That's what you want, so that when you put it on the grill, everything get evenly cooked. You don't want it in a big ball. And so then we're gonna cook it each side about 4 to 5 minutes with your grill on medium-high heat. So you're gonna flip it, and then you'll just let it cook on the other side, and everything will get really melted together and wonderful. All right, well, I'm gonna finish making up the rest of these foil packets because I have a friend coming today. Her name is Terry. Terry came to my home to interview me recently, and she hosts a show called Today's Nashville. So it's gonna be really fun. We're gonna be able to talk about her story and all the things that God has done in her life, and now all the neat things that she gets to do, interviewing people, and just talking about the things that God has done in so many people's lives. So I'm so excited to have her over and grill with me and have a little picnic with her today. Coming up next, today's Nashville host, Terry Squires, joins me in the kitchen for a perfect day of our favorite picnic fare. I'm so excited. I have Terry Squires from Today's Nashville joining me in the kitchen today. Terry, I'm so glad you came.
Katie, thank you. I am so excited to be here, and I follow your show and your recipes in it. They are amazing, and you make them look so easy.
Well, thank you. That is really my goal. I always think if I wouldn't make it with 2 little kids and working from home, I'm so busy, then I'm not going to put it on my website.
Oh, they are so easy. I follow you on Instagram, and I thought, I can do this.
Well, that's what I want. Well, Terry, I'm excited to have you in the kitchen today. Today, we're going to be making a lightened up ranch pasta salad. Do you like pasta salad?
I love everything.
Okay, well, this is perfect for our picnic, and really this is great because you can make it ahead of time and you can keep it in the fridge for a few days, really, leading up to any kind of barbecue or gathering that you have outside. So I'm going to start by making the ranch dressing for this, and I'll have you cut up the bacon and the green onions, and then we'll add everything together. It will be absolutely delicious. So we have 6 pieces of bacon, 2 green onions, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of dill, 1/4 cup of almond milk, 2 cups of peas, a 1/2 cup of cheese, 8 ounces of pasta, as well as 1 cup of Greek yogurt. All right, so Terry, I'm gonna make the ranch dressing. All I do is start with a Greek yogurt base, and that's a really good way to add protein and also creaminess to a dressing. And then you just thin it out with a little bit of milk. So I'm doing a 1/4 cup of almond milk, and then I'll add my seasonings, and this will make it really taste like the ranch that we all know and love, and a little bit healthier for us. So Terry, you have the most amazing testimony just of redemption and what God has done in your life, and I love redemption stories. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to know the Lord.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for being on my show. And you have an amazing testimony too, and I can't wait to share it, and it'll be coming up soon. But you know, it's interesting that now I'm being asked about my testimony because I really don't share it that much. But you know, when I was a young girl, we came from a broken family. And our parents both went separate ways, and we ended up in one place. And we weren't really a church-going family either. I knew about Jesus, but we just never attended church. And, you know, being from a broken family, you know, it can get a little tough. And I can say that I have 2 older sisters, and I'm a triplet. And we were all on our own by the age of 16 and 17.
Yeah, wow.
So it was a little difficult, but during that time, there was a Bible that stood in the center of our home. It was on a platform, and no one really ever read it, but it stood there. And one day I picked it up, and I started taking it into my room, and I started reading it, and I started finding out about Moses and the Israelites and Jesus, and I'm like, what is this all about? So I started reading the Bible, but I would put it back on the stand, hoping that nobody would notice that maybe the pages were messed up. So I knew that Jesus was pulling me towards him. And I was about 15 then. But situations happened, and at 17 I left home, and my brothers left home too. And I was a senior and they were juniors, even though we were triplets. And I can't imagine them, you know, they went to an apartment, friends helped us, but I really didn't know what I was gonna do. You know, I was a swimmer, and I was kind of a fast swimmer, but I didn't realize I was that fast. But my coach told me I would be able to go to college by swimming. And so I had my last year in high school, didn't have a place to live, didn't have a dime to my name. And my swim coach's family tracked me down and said, we want you to come and stay with us. We'll help you get through your senior year. We'll apply to college. And that's what happened.
Wow.
Just one family. And they all showed me Jesus. And I had friends around me that I would go to church with. But it wasn't until I realized, you know, it just takes one person to see a need in somebody else's life that can change the whole direction of your life, because I really don't know where I'd be if it weren't for them. And that, you know, it's funny, I have to say, they were really young when they took me in. They had 3 little girls, and I shared a room with their 3-year-old.
Wow.
And I think they were like in their late 30s. I used to think they were so ancient. And I was just like, they're so old. And to this day, I stay in touch with them.
Wow.
And they live in Oregon. And a couple months ago, their daughter, which it was the middle daughter, came to Nashville, and we had lunch. And so it's so amazing what God can do in your life. And so I always say that to people, you just never know what you can do, the impact that we can leave behind just by noticing other people and saying, oh, there's a need there. So they taught me so much. And you know, as I grew into my college years and everything, I still made a lot of mistakes. I really didn't give my life to Jesus until I was in college. And then I really started digging into God's Word. And it's like now, you know, I get to interview people here in Nashville about their faith stories. And God has opened doors for me to write Christian books. So God is so good, isn't he?
He's so good. And that story is just, it really shows how it really just takes one person reaching out to one person. And look at the life that's transformed now. And even now, I'm sure your entire family's impacted by your life being changed. And so it can change generations. And
I have a family now. My sisters, I mean, we all follow Jesus now. And, you know, you have to look at your past and let go of some of those things. Because for a while, it was a struggle for me. I held on to resentment and frustration and anger, and I don't want to say hate, but you know, there are people that I was just very angry with. But as I grew, it was just like, I hold no resentment. I have no anger. I've forgiven. And I've hoped that, you know, I look at myself, and I probably didn't make the, you know, right decisions too. So, but I think forgiveness is a key to move forward to what God is calling you to do.
That's so good. And I think we all need to hear that, because at times, there are times that all of us have to forgive, right? So it's such a powerful reminder of the power of forgiveness.
And I think people can get stuck in their past.
True, true.
And hang on to that, and they just don't grow. They don't
Yes.
move forward.
Yes. So good. Such good reminders. Well, we're going to put this all together while we continue to chat.
Do you want me to cut these?
Yes,
or-
you can
okay.
cut those into the bowl if you'd like. And I'm going to just go ahead and add the cooked pasta. And I just cooked it and rinsed it in cold water. That way it is done cooking. If you don't rinse off cold pasta in cold water, it continues to cook and get a little bit mushy. You don't want mushy pasta for a pasta salad. And then we're going to add our peas next. And Terry, I can definitely relate to so much of what you said, but just in the fact of like how God can redeem and restore all things no matter what you've been through. As you heard my story when I was a teenager going through eating disorders and the brokenness there, I had to forgive myself of brokenness and the things that I did to myself for so many years, you know? And so I think we can all identify in some way to the pain of our past and also how God can make all things new.
He does. He's such a good father.
It's true, he is. And so we're gonna add the bacon. You can add that on, yep.
In here?
Yep. And you can just sprinkle it right on top just like that. And see, doesn't this already look so good? And then we're gonna add our cheese on top last, and then we'll kind of just stir it together. And so this is one of those dishes, honestly, that I think tastes better over time. So when it sits in your fridge, it kind of blends together even more and it tastes really good. We're gonna make one of my favorite batch chicken recipes on the grill. And these chicken tenders are so delicious and juicy. They're honey mustard chicken tenders, and they're made with a few simple ingredients. I start with 2 pounds of chicken, 1.5 tablespoons of salt, 5 tablespoons of honey, a half cup of apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of garlic, 1/4 cup of mustard, and 1 large orange. These honey mustard chicken tenders are perfect for meal prep or to have for your barbecue. Let me show you how I made them. All I did to make the marinade was whisk everything together in a bowl until everything was combined. Then I poured everything for the marinade over the chicken in a Ziploc bag or sealed container. Next, I sealed the Ziploc bag and I let the chicken marinate for up to 1 hour in the fridge. I removed the chicken from the marinade and grilled each piece of chicken for 2 to 3 minutes on each side. I then drizzled the remaining honey over the chicken tenders. Coming up next, dessert holds the top spot in my heart at any meal, and this protein-rich s'mores bar serves as the ideal finale to any picnic. Well, Terry, we're gonna finish off with dessert, and I think we all can pretty much agree that s'mores is like the perfect dessert for any picnic or barbecue.
Definitely.
Yes. Is it the marshmallows or the chocolate that you like the most?
I like it all. In fact, at Christmas, I bought one of those. I don't know if you saw them. They're advertised everywhere. Where you can do your own, you know.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like the little mini fire that you can have indoors.
Just plug them in and I bought
so
one.
fun, so fun. Well, these are gonna be s'mores bars, and they actually have some protein in them, so they keep you satisfied, so you could technically even eat them for breakfast.
Oh,
so,
that sounds
you know,
great.
tomorrow morning you could wake up and just have one for breakfast. And they are really healthy enough to have for breakfast, but they have all the good stuff, the marshmallows, the chocolate, the graham crackers. So we're gonna get started with just the base, and then I'll have you cut up some marshmallows to put on top. So we're gonna add to the base 1½ cup of oat flour, 2 eggs, a ½ cup of protein powder, a ½ cup of sweetener, a ½ teaspoon of salt, a ½ cup of peanut butter, a ½ cup of applesauce, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and on top we're gonna add 1/4 cup of chocolate chips, 3 graham crackers, and a ½ cup of marshmallows. Okay, so you could technically just use mini marshmallows for the topping, but the store didn't have any, so just as much fun is just cutting up some marshmallows and making them a little bit smaller. So we'll put those on the top of these bars. And I'm gonna get started with kind of the base here, and I'm gonna add all of the ingredients for the base right into the bowl and mix it together. And Terry, we have so much in common. We didn't get to talk very long, but we're both nurses. And what kind of nurse were you?
I was critical care nurse.
Oh, okay.
I was more into the hearts.
And I was a labor and delivery nurse. And then we both were saying how we both were very shy when we were younger.
Yes, very shy.
And now the Lord is working through us in a way of TV.
And we're both in Cornerstone Television Network, isn't it?
I mean, it's just, it blows my mind. But you know, this is just how God loves to shine and show off, right?
And we're both in Nashville.
Yes, and now we're both in Nashville. So tell me how you ended up getting to Nashville.
Oh goodness. You know, when I was raising my kids, God pulled me into chasing after spiritual hearts. And so I became a Christian author and created all kinds of products for children and teens and everything. Actually, the Ancient Heroes trading cards are mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I was working a lot in Nashville. So I was here down for at least 10 years. And then after my kids were out of school, I met my husband. We dated for 5 years, and I always say we kind of accidentally met. He was working for the publisher that did a book series of mine, and I have to say, we kind of started our relationship out on a little tiny white lie, because when somebody introduced me to him, they're like, oh, you know him, and I figured I better say yes because he works for the publisher. And so I said, oh yeah, I know who he is. And same thing happened. They're like, oh, you know Terry, she's one of your authors. And he's like, oh yeah. We had no clue.
So you both didn't know each other,
we didn't know.
You were both pretending you did.
No, but that's how God introduced us. And we dated 5 years and ended up moving to Nashville. And so I've been here since 2007.
From the moment that I moved here, I noticed that the people was my favorite thing, because we had so many neighbors that came over and introduced themselves, and I was here alone actually for a few months. My husband was back in Michigan trying to wrap up everything with his business and his shop and move it here. And so I was alone with 2 little kids, and so many people came over and said, if you need anything at all, you know, and it was just really made me feel like it was a sense of home away from home.
It is. People are so nice here.
And so I just added to this mix some chocolate chips, not all of them, we're gonna save some for the top, as well as some of the graham crackers that I crushed up. And I just crushed them up right in a Ziploc bag with a meat pounder. But you could use a rolling pin or anything that you want to crush up the graham crackers. You could even just break them up with your hands. But do you use the meat pounder ever when you're cooking? Something like this?
Yeah, mostly for meat.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I use it all the time. In the kitchen, I get creative. Anytime I need to break anything, crush anything up, you just get your meat pounder out. It's a great multifunctional tool. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this batter right into a 9x9 pan, a baking pan that I sprayed with cooking spray. We're gonna kind of smooth this out. The batter should look thick like this. It's gonna make a really delicious, almost like a graham cracker flavored crust. And then we're gonna top it with the rest of our chocolate chips and our graham crackers.
And marshmallows. Is this enough?
That looks perfect. Okay. That looks great. And you did a really good job with those. Like I said, easier way would be buying the mini marshmallows.
It's a little sticky.
Here, you can use this towel too. Okay. And if you don't have them, at least you know you can cut them up. I always like to top every dessert with like what I'm using in the dessert, so you can look at it and say, oh, those are s'mores bars. Because if you just looked at that, it doesn't look really like anything special. But when we top it with all these delicious toppings, it's going to be so tasty and look beautiful. So we're gonna top the rest. Now we're not gonna put the marshmallows on until the last 2 minutes of cooking or so, because they would totally burn. So we're gonna put these in the oven, 350 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. Is that right? Okay. And then in the last few minutes, we're gonna put the marshmallows on and let them just get golden brown and melted, and then we can cut them up and have them for dessert. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. Well, Terry, thank you so much for cooking with me today.
Katie, thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful morning.
And I think we should try these s'more bars. What do you think?
I think
they look
we should
pretty
try
tempting
them too.
Here. To get the recipe for these s'more bars and everything that we made today, head over to dashingdish.com where you will find recipes and more to nourish your body and soul.